Hello everyone, I'm Miss Nilli. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about what grade would university consider. Well, a lot of the parents or students, whether it is in my real life or whether it is online, would ask me about this all the time. So a lot of the times they would talk about like they have to prepare to go to university as soon as they enter high school. Or like some people would say that both grade 11 and grade 12 grades will be counted towards university applications. Or some people would say that like you need to get 100% in everything in order for you to get into university. All of these are actually causing a lot of stress on students and making them really anxious, especially for students who are in grade 11 and 12. I can tell you that all three of them are not necessarily correct for like 100%. Well, there are some validity in some of the sentences. However, it is not like 100% correct statement. So in this video, we are going to talk about the process, what grade do they actually consider, and when are they going to consider it, so that you are more informed, so that you can actually take a deep breath and know that what is actually something that you need to really care about. So first of all, before we actually talk about anything, we should be talking about some general university requirement. Regardless of which province that you're going to, there are only 3 requirements that you actually have to fulfill in order for you to go to university. So the first one is, well, first of all, you have to graduate from high school. And then second of all is that you need to have top 6 grade 12 grades. So you need to take 6 courses, subject, credits, whatever that you call in your province. And then you need to take the top 6 courses and take the average of it. And then the third requirement is that you need to take grade 12 English. If you are attending a French school or like you're from Quebec, you would be considering grade 12 French instead of grade 12 English. But in general, these are the 3 university requirements that is needed throughout the whole Canada, regardless of which province that you're going to. I mean, which province that you're going to in terms of your university. Now, that means we can actually take away one of the misconception and saying that you need to be getting 100% in everything. Well, technically, even if you want to get 100% average, you only need to get 100% in your top 6 courses, including English, instead of like everything. So let's say if you take like 8 courses in your grade 12, you only need to be good at 6 of them, but English or French, if your first language is French, has to be one of them. Now, how about grade 11 grades? Well, before we actually talk about grade 11 grades, we need to look at the timeline in application. It doesn't matter which province that you are in or which province that you're applying to, the timeline is very similar. Around November, the university application will open in your province, and in January, your university application would due. So that gives you about 2-month period for you to apply. And then if your university is very competitive, they usually ask you for a supplementary application. Sometimes they don't. That time when it is February, that's the time that when they're asking you for your supplementary application. And then after that, you just keep waiting. And then by the time that it is May, I think at the end of May or beginning of June, that's the time that would be the deadline to accept your offer. Now, if you are applying to UK or the US, you will apply a little bit earlier than that, but usually if you are applying in Canada, that's the timeline that we're looking at. Now, if your province is a semester-based province, I cannot recall any province except Quebec. Maybe Quebec is semester-based too. The majority of the province that I can remember, they're pretty much semester-based. So in January, at the end of January, you will be receiving your final grade for your first semester. And then around midterm grade and second semester around April. Now, here's the thing though. Between January to June, that's the time that after you finish applying to university and then also before the deadline to accept your offer. In this period, in this 5 months, you could be receiving your offer anytime. And those offers are called conditional offer, which means that there are certain conditions that you have to meet in order for you to actually get the offer. So majority of the time will be like, okay, well, at the end of the year, you have to have like an average of 75%. That's the condition. That's the requirement. So if you don't meet the condition, then too bad, so sad. But if you meet the condition, then you will be getting the offer to go into that university. But if you take a look at it, by the end of January, you will be receiving your final grade for your first semester. But let's say if you're applying university around like, let's say December-ish, and the university is looking at your grades in maybe early January. At that time, you don't have any grade 12 marks that are in the system. Therefore, the only way that they can actually think about offering you a conditional offer is based on your grade 11 grades. That is the same thing that if you are applying to the UK or the US, because at that time you would not have any grade 12 credits. The grades for the grade 12 credits. So in this case, they will have to follow what you have from grade 11. However, as soon as your first semester grade is like done, then at that time they would refer to your grade 12 grades instead of looking at your grade 11 grades. Specifically, let's take a look at this. So let's say if it is early February, by that time you should have all your grades in first semester. Let's say this is kind of like a hypothetical scenario. This is just like a makeup timetable for students who are applying, for a student who is applying to engineering. So you can see that I star 5 of the subject area, which is English, chemistry, advanced function, calculus, and physics. Those 5 are pretty much the big 5 for you to apply for university. And this student already completed 3 compulsory credit, which is English, chemistry, and advanced function in first semester. But this student did not finish anything did not get any grades for calculus or physics because at that time they do not have any grades the student do not have any grades until April for those 2 subjects. At that time, you would have 4 grade 12 courses and 2 compulsory credits that you don't have grades. So therefore, they will have to refer to the grade 11 grades for those 2 subjects. So let's say this student got grade 11 math and got a 75% and got a 60% in grade 11 physics. That means the estimated admission average would be the 4 grades that they got in semester 1, plus the grade 11 for calculus, which is math, and the grade 11 physics. So therefore, this student would get an estimated average around 78.7%. If that student is applying to a program that is around mid-70s, most likely they will get a conditional offer at that time. If they're if they are applying to something that is around like low 80s, then they may not have an offer. If something that is, let's say low 70s, then most likely they're going to have an offer at that time. Now, what if it is mid-April? By the time that it is mid-April, they will get like a midterm mark for second semester. So let's say the student did really well and actually improved a lot in grade 12 instead of in comparison to grade 11, and they got 90% in calculus and 90% in physics. Remember, that is midterm, but that's okay. So in this case, that estimated admission average would be using grade 12 instead of using grade 11. So therefore, the student will actually have an average that is 86.1 instead of in the 70s. At this moment, if the student is applying to any programs that are in the low 80s average, then most likely the student is going to get an offer. Now, you can see that as soon as the calculus and physics have a certain grade, even if it is midterm, then the grade 11 would not be considered. The grade 11 is only used for reference whenever the grade 12 marks are not available. It is used to help in terms of predicting what you're going to get. Now, what if you can see that over here in semester 1, there is a course which is business. The student got 85%, but business is not really a compulsory course to apply for our engineering program. Let's say if the student is actually doing really well in computer science and got a 95%. At that time, the computer science will actually replace the business to be the top 6 credit. As a result, the student would get an estimated admission average of 87.8 instead of 86 in the previous slide. So as a result, the computer science would be the top 6 credit. The compulsory credit would count for sure, but any time that is not a compulsory credit will be whichever that is the highest, that will be considered as the admission average. Now, which means that if we think about that, grade 11 grades are useful at the beginning of the application process because at that time you don't have a lot of grade 12 grades, so you need to kind of follow the grade 11 grades. That's the only thing that you can reference to. However, if you did not do well in grade 11, that's not really the end of the world, because what happened is as soon as you have the grade 12 grades in a particular subject, the grade 11 grades are no longer useful, because it's easier to kind of predict what you're going to have in grade 12 using a grade 12 grades instead of using a grade 11 grades. Now, however, most of the competitive program would weight anyways, which means that, for example, let's say a student have like 100% in everything in grade 11, good for that student. However, if they are applying for a competitive program, most likely they're going to wait until you have maybe at least 3 or 4 grade 12 credits in order for them to actually give you an offer. So if you get really good grades in grade 11, I feel happy for you, but at the same time, you're probably going to get offers for not so competitive programs, but if you want to go to competitive programs, you will probably would have to wait anyways, because the university is not going to look at it until you probably have at least 3 or 4 compulsory credits in, like, compulsory grade 12 credits in your application. Now, some students may say that, well, do I need to start preparing to go to university as soon as I enter high school? Well, remember, only the grade 12 marks are technically counted, while the grade 11 is used for reference, but only grade 12 grades are being counted. So technically, you don't really need to stress in grade 9 and grade 10 to prepare for university. However, there are a couple of things that you can do when you're in grade 9 and grade 10. First of all, you want to discover your interest, because in order for you to apply for university, you need to make sure that the credits that you're taking, the courses that you're taking in grade 11 and 12, is actually the compulsory courses that you need in order for you to apply. So if you discover your interest in grade 9 and grade 10, it will be easier for you because you will be taking the credits that you need. Now, second of all, you need to join extracurricular activities. Well, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. However, when you're thinking about quality, when you're thinking about extracurricular activities, sorry, it's a little bit late, so I'm kind of sleepy. But when you're thinking about extracurricular activities, you want to pick something that you're really interested in and you are going to have an authentic experience. The reason why for that is a lot of people thought that, okay, the more activities that I'm going to join, the more things that I can actually write on my personal statement when I'm applying for university. However, majority of the university is actually not asking for you to write like 10 extracurricular activities. Majority of the time would ask you like maybe talk about one experience that is blah, 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 or talk about 2 experiences that are blah, blah, blah. So if you join like a ton of extracurricular activities, but you don't really get deep into it and don't get really involved into it, it is going to make your personal statement really superficial. So you want to actually do something really authentic so that it connects to you, it connects to your interests, it connects to your passion. When you're writing your personal statement, it is so much better to actually have something authentic to talk about. Third thing is you want to fulfill your other graduation requirement as soon as possible in your grade 9 and grade 10 year. So for example, some province you have to finish like community service hours. Some of them you actually have to write a math test or an English test or something like that. You want to get rid of them as soon as possible in grade 9 and grade 10 so that you can focus more on your studies and also joining really authentic extracurricular activities or getting some leadership experience when you're in grade 11 and 12. So in grade 9 and grade 10, if you get a good grade, awesome. But at the same time, I think these 3 would be so much more beneficial for you to do in grade 9 and grade 10. Now, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, please make sure that you do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this. And then if you want to follow my Instagram and Facebook, it is at miss.nilli.classroom. Thank you very much and have a nice day.